Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the San Rafael Film Center and a special preview to the Mill Valley Film Festival 36. We could not be more honored than to be presenting this film as our first screening for the Mill Valley Film Festival in the beautiful San Rafael Film Center. As you know, the band, Metallica, is our residents of Marin County. And this aspect and the passion that the band has, well, for most everything creative, but also for this beautiful place that we call home. Metallica has been a great member of the community, a great film to a great friend to the California Film Institute, and I can't thank them enough for allowing us to have the premiere of Metallica Through the Never. We have a number of guests tonight, and I'm going to bring them up individually just to say a couple words, and then we're going to let you go ahead and see the spectacular film. First of all, with us tonight is the director, Nimrod Antal. I'd like to bring him up. Nimrod is the director of Predators and also a film that we showed in 2004 called Control. In addition, I'd like to bring up Dane DeHaan, who is the star of this film, who you'll be seeing in the new Spider-Man movie, and Kill All Your Darlings, opening October 16th. Dane DeHaan. Now it is my utmost pleasure to introduce the members of Metallica. Please welcome James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, and Robert Trujillo. So we will have more mics by the end of the show, but for right now, would you like to say a few words, James?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Really grateful to be standing here and presenting, over 2 years of work here, but really for us, 30 plus years, because this is kind of a best of live performance. So we've been working on this thing our whole careers, and who'd have thunk we'd be standing up here introing one of our movies. It is a dream and a blessing. Here's Lars.
Thank you, James. Hi, Kirk. Hi, Robert. Hi, Dane. No, you know what? It's been a crazy week. We were in Toronto on Wednesday and Thursday. Rob and I were in Berlin on Friday. We premiered this movie in the Kremlin in Moscow on Saturday. How crazy is that? And last night we premiered it in San Francisco, and now we're in Marin. It doesn't get any closer to our backyard than right here. We are like, most of us live like 12 seconds from here. So when you flush the toilet in my house, you can hear it in here. So this is so cool, and we're grateful that Mark invited us, and we are fierce supporters of everything Marin and everything San Francisco. And so to be back here and to be standing on the stage, to be part of the Mill Valley Film Festival, which I've been a huge fan of for years, is such a privilege. And to have this movie that James is saying we've been working on for a couple, 3 decades more or less, to be the kickoff for the Mill Valley Film Festival is a true honor as a film buff and as a member of the local community. So thank you for showing up and sharing this with us, and we're super psyched.
Thank you all for coming. I want to thank Mark for having us. It's a great honor to be here tonight, and thank you for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoy this movie as much as as much as we enjoyed making it, and yeah, it's a great ride. Cheers.
All right. From my first gig at San Quentin State Penitentiary to the San Rafael Theatre. Hey, Mike Borden, what's going on, buddy? Right on, man. It's a joy to be here. Again, you know, a couple years of hard work. It's been a long journey, fueled by passion and craziness, because we're all standing here and we're all a little bit crazy, but that's a good thing. And I hope you enjoy this unique experience. Have fun.
I think you should all stay standing for the entire movie. Yeah. No, this has been the most unique, undeniably cool experience of my life. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. Seems like the right crowd for the movie. And I do not think you will be disappointed, so enjoy it.
I know that you guys really want to get to this film, so I'll just keep it short. It was an honor to work with some immensely talented gentlemen over the past few years. They are the biggest band in the world, and you're going to see that on the screen right now. Thank you all for coming.
We'll be back right after the show. And I want to thank Bob and Jeannie Burney from Picture House. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome back all of our great friends who are involved in the film, Nimrod, Dane, and the members of Metallica, James, Lars, Kirk, and Robert. Metallica.
It's a line in the bathroom.
What kind of line?
Well, you guys have been on a wild ride there. I just, you know, because I'm up here and I have the mic, I'm going to take the liberty of asking a question or two before we open it up to the audience. But I want to thank you guys for making this film, because I don't use the words courageous and creative and passionate lightly, and certainly everything that you've been doing as a band, and also Dane and Nimrod in terms of making this film, is the definition of that. Risk-taking, and I believe it's probably some risk-taking with your lives, and maybe we'll hear a little bit about that too. But let's start, you know, it's certainly not at the very beginning where all the influences happened with this, but in terms of the script, because most everybody on this panel has had something to do with the ideas for the story. And how did that come about? I try to visualize the process. I try to visualize physically what the script would look like, and I'm having a little problem. But because it's so complicated in terms of the music and the lyrics and the famous iconic symbols that you're using and the narrative, and when you come in and you want to come out, how did this process work? Who wants to start?
You started in 1981. No. I met Lars in the paper.
In the bathroom. No, well, I mean, the seeds to this movie go back to 1997, actually, when we were approached by IMAX. At that time, IMAX were doing pretty much just specialty films, you know, scuba diving and mountain climbing and nature films and all that type of stuff. And they approached us to do a specialty concert film for them. At that time, they were still using analog cameras, and I mean, it was very, very complicated. So we sort of shelved the idea, but we kept it. And a couple of 4 years ago, spring of 2010, we picked it back up again and thought the idea of doing a big Metallica film for theaters, 3D, with concerts and some other elements would be an interesting creative challenge. Even though the Some Kind of Monster ride was obviously documenting a pretty difficult time in our lives, the experience of the film, and especially and the way it was embraced, especially by the film community, was very positive. So we thought, you know, let's make another movie, and obviously different and so on. But the one thing that we thought that worked really well about the Some Kind of Monster movie was that there was a kind of a story to it. It wasn't just about four guys in a rock and roll band. I mean, it was a story about relationships, and there was this kind of organic, dramatic arc in the movie. And so we figured if we somehow could fuse a story into a concert film, you know, something dramatic, something, you know, a narrative, that would be really cool and would be unlike anything that we'd ever seen and unlike anything anybody else had ever seen. So we started reaching out to different people, trying to find some creative partners, some writers and some directors, and that led us, excuse me. Does that mean I'm over my time?
Yes.
Yes. So that led us to Nimrod, and basically, you know, once we sort of decided that he was courageous enough to take this journey with us, then Nimrod went away and created the character of Trip and put the whole thing into a script and came up with a whole sort of post-apocalyptic, nightmare and that whole thing. So really, I think the brunt of it, the credit should be given to Nimrod for writing it, even though all of us are credited. It's really Nimrod's, the narrative is really Nimrod's idea.
Woo! Yeah. Well, Nimrod, do you want to say a little bit about that experience of writing it and, you know, the inspiration that Metallica had on you to carry this through?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thank you guys for coming out tonight, and I want to thank the band. I want to thank the band for an opportunity that was really a dream come true for me. I've been a fan of theirs for a long, long time. And going into the project, I was initially approached by Charlotte Huggins, our producer, and she told us, she asked me if 3D Metallica concert, does that interest me? And I was like, so I was fortunate enough to meet with, I think I met with Lars first, and he explained to me the concept that they had wanted to do. And it was so unusual, and you know, I had come from making no-budget movies in Budapest, Hungary, and that was actually a really beautiful experience for me as far as an artist. But then I found myself trying to support my kids and my family doing studio films, and it was not fulfilling. And I'm proud of those movies, and I had a great opportunity to make those films, but this kind of took me back to doing the things that I wanted to do. The idea was so far out, so weird. I thought, man, we got to try. And unfortunately, the guys in the band felt that they gave me the chance. And I want you all to know that for me, like, the first and the most important thing was I wanted them to be proud, and I wanted them to be happy with what we had. And secondly, I wanted the fans, man. I wanted the fans to be really proud of this film. So they challenged me with this idea to come up with this concept as far as a story goes. And I went away, and I had met with them over a course of a few months, and we kept on going back and forth. And protest Metallica has always been for me, especially in my life at that point. I was going through a lot of difficult stuff when I found them, and and they've always represented, excuse me if there's any young guys in the audience or young gals, but they've always represented fuck you music. And you know, I thought that protest naturally kind of made its way into the storyline initially, and the most important part was the character of Trip. And I had met with a gentleman that works for the band, and he's worked with them for quite a while. His name is Dan Brown. And there's a few other people that I had met that were part of the crew. Vicky Strait's here as well, I believe, and Bree. Yeah. And you know, what was really refreshing to me was seeing there's a band that goes out and gives it their all every night. And you guys feel it, you see it, but behind them there's also a crew of people that work just as hard to make it happen. And those people had such a love and a loyalty for that band, man. It was truly inspiring to see in this egocentric day and age to have someone really just work for something bigger, work for something that inspired them. And Trip was born. That character just was born that moment. And then as the film progressed, I was lucky enough to work with the guy that's sitting right next to me. This is one of the most phenomenal talents I've worked with, but he's also just a super nice dude. So let's give it up for Dane as well, guys.
Well, Dane, you get the script. It's got no dialogue for you, very little dialogue in the home movie. I think Kirk has the line. And
I have like 4 words or something.
Yeah, that
That was
was
as much as I can remember.
the big monologue. And
Only 12 takes.
and so
Oh, it was 15, okay?
and you see the script, and you know,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Yes, so the script was basically like a 15-page story. And obviously a lot of shit happens in the movie, so it was really hard to actually like wrap my mind around it and make sense of what exactly was going on. But it was certainly intriguing, and
of the
like obviously
century.
the idea of making this movie with Metallica and the whole concept was really kind of confusing but alluring. And then I met with with Nimrod, and he kind of, you know, put it all into context and told me what it meant to him. And you know, it was really seeing the passion that he had for the project, and the fact that even though he wrote this fucking crazy story, it had a really true meaning to him, and he made it very clear to me. And then, you know, so that was pretty much it. But like on paper, the script was, you know, it was
A mess.
It was crazy.
But what about, okay, when you introduce the band individually, you know, Kirk, you got blood coming out. You could
Not my own.
What?
Not my own.
Right, and Lars, give him the Lars look. And James, and your hot rod. And Robert crouched down there, the whole theater's shaking. Now, did you guys have a say in that, what that was?
Well, Nimrod had a vision. Let's just say, at least with my scene, he said, "Yeah, I want you to like hold this guitar, and it's like bleeding. You're like trying to figure out what, why, and how, and what." And when we were shooting it, I was just concerned about just like getting blood on my boots. I didn't want to get blood on my boots.
Nimrod was all like, "Okay, Robert, I want you to crouch down. You're a Neanderthal now, okay? And embrace your primate instinct here. Okay, great take." How many takes did we do of that?
I think like 2.
Like 2, yeah.
One comes natural to you, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
It's easy.
I just was trying to figure out a way to get my car in the movie. That's all. That's all. That's all. Thank you, Nim.
Thank you.
I'm just thinking about all the deep intellectual conversations about film that have taken place on the stage over the years.
Well,
And how that just seems like a distant memory right now.
Well, listen, I know this audience is going to have those deep intellectual conversations, getting deep into your subconscious. Before I open it up to the audience, just tell me a little bit about the spear of death. I want to, in terms of the Tesla coils and what that was, at least was something I read about, and everybody's looking at me like, what in
Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about?
Well, you know, those
The most
Tesla-
dangerous stage on the planet?
Yeah.
That thing?
yeah, exactly.
well, on the stage, especially for the Tesla
New
coils,
character.
especially for the Tesla coils that come down during the lightning when the electric chair comes down, there were clearly marked pieces of tape on the stage that had this weird doodle of like a skull and crossbones and a do not cross or else. And
The sphere of death.
yeah, that was about it. Cross that and yeah, you'll get electrocuted.
99-cent gaffer tape from the hardware store.
That you couldn't read when the lights were off.
Okay, we're going to open this up to the audience, and we have some questions over here.
All right. First of all, yes! That was fucking awesome, dudes. Woo!
That's rhetorical, right?
It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. Going on the theme of death, something that is referenced in your music, apocryphal, beautiful, dark, deep. How has that theme gotten more important and powerful in your lives as you've aged? And where does that come from when you were younger? And also, how does that tie into the director that you chose and his vision of death and afterlife, dying, whatever it may be?
All right, who wants to tackle that one?
Well, as we all know, death is a part of living. So it's the ultimate in fear, I would say, and that's been written about forever. And it's been a theme in my life, fear, questioning the unknown, things like that. And obviously the Trip character, when he shows up at work and has no idea what is going to happen to him that day, he thinks it's just another regular day in life, and stuff gets thrown at him. And that happens in life. Maybe not to that extreme. For some it does, maybe. But, there's things, and it's all about how you respond to it instead of reacting. And I think one of the favorite scenes of mine in the movie is when, Trip walks into this conflict that's going on, and horrific things are happening, and the embodiment of hate, who's the writer, with the sledgehammer, who's part, of each side. He's created out of the conflict, and all this stuff is going on, and what he finally sees is him noosing somebody and pulling him up, and he finally realizes this is not okay. This is not right. So he stands up for humanity and throws the brick. And so that's one of the favorite parts for me. Where does darkness come from? It comes from the other side of me. All of us, the light and dark in us all. And I think being able to embrace the dark side, it shines light on it in a way.
I'd just say about Nimrod and the director question that, we spoke to quite a few different people about taking this ride with us, and everybody was very skeptical. They couldn't quite understand what we were talking about. A lot of frowns and a lot of questions and a lot of sort of, what about this and what? It didn't make sense to a lot of people. And so when I sat down with Nimrod the first time for a cup of tea, he was the first guy that was ready to jump on this crazy ride with us. He didn't ask questions or try to talk me out of what I was bringing to him. And when he came up and met the band, there's this kind of madness in Nim's eyes that we could feel a kinship with, because we, as we're sort of loosely joking about before, a lot of this movie has sort of been made up as we go along. We just knew we wanted to make a big concert film with something else, but we didn't, it wasn't sort of, detailed to the point where it had a life of its own, and we were just trying to hold on for dear life for the last 3 years. And Nimrod was the first guy and the only guy who was ready to take that ride with us, who jumped with us and didn't ask where we were going to land or where are the parachutes or any of that kind of shit. He was just fucking ready to go, and that that energy was something that we can so relate to because it sort of defines who Metallica is and what we do and how we just throw ourselves out into it and hope we land safely somewhere.
Yeah.
Hello. Hey.
Hello.
So I have a lot to say, and hopefully everybody will be patient. It was a very good movie. Thank you. I wanted to talk about the bag, and then kind of get into some other stuff. And I think that there's a really good metaphor that maybe not everybody has caught on to. I think a lot of people may not realize that a lot of musicians, bands are kind of coming back up and touring nowadays. Metallica is still strong. And I can definitely tell that a lot of people are supporting a lot of the bands, Metallica included, because there's this very big sense of people wanting to be spiritually rich. And it's very interesting how Trip, nobody ever gets to see what's inside the bag. Not even at the end. I was kind of hoping to find out what necessarily was in there. But it does make you think about the lengths that a lot of fans go through, taking planes, driving long distances, possibly putting themselves at financial, hardships a little bit just to support Metallica. There's a big love, and that love comes from the fact that Metallica's songs really touch on the human condition. I think more than any band that I have listened to. I think everybody else sees it. And
thank you for your kind words, but I was just wondering, is there a question there?
Yeah. So I'll skip on the bag. A lot of people. So I'll go to the question with going into the scenes where Trip is being followed. He's being followed. There's hell happening around him, and it just makes me wonder what that must have been like.
Okay.
What do you think is in the bag? What do you think is in the bag? Huh? What do you think's in the bag? I'm curious.
Thank you. Hopefully I won't get it taken away from me again. I think what's inside the bag is Trip sees himself.
Ah.
And before I give the mic back, I probably shouldn't be mentioning this. I actually met you guys backstage at Outside Lands.
Thank you. Yeah, it is the journey, not the destination. You got it.
All right.
No, and thank you for being so brave and talking about that. That was really cool, man. Thank you.
Okay, the next question over here.
This is a quick question and probably a short answer from possibly each one of you. If you're all credited to contributing to the story, mainly Trip, which portion of the story, character, or symbol were you most proud of contributing? If there was a part that you would like to mention about that story.
I should just say that even though we're all credited, as the writers, I mean, this is really Nimrod's story. The character of Trip, the journey that he goes on, the setting that the narrative takes place in, all comes from the wonderful, twisted mind of Nimrod. We helped shape it. We set a couple of boundaries around the story to make sure that it wouldn't run amok. But it's really, this is really Nimrod's story, 90% of it, and so he should take full credit or blame, whichever way you'd like to look at it. So Metallica has never been particularly, credits. We like to share in the credits, and it's not 700. It's whatever. So, but it's really Nimrod's story.
I think there's a moment in the film that was important for me, and that's when he just stops running. He just, fuck it.
All right, over here.
Thanks, man. Hey guys, first Nim, thank you very much. You made Metallica fans around the world very happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
That was the goal.
So I was one of the lucky guys in the crowd for those shows, and although I didn't make it into the movie, at least as far as I can tell, thanks Lars.
I tried, Adam. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man.
You have to watch it a few more times.
I know there was a ton of material you guys didn't get to use, right? I mean, it's a 90-minute movie. They were 2-hour-plus shows, and there was a ton of stuff going on that stage that, we only got snippets of. So kind of a fun question. What's the coolest thing that didn't make it in?
Well, I mean, there's 4 other songs that they performed at the concert that aren't there now, and I think each one of those individually are pretty cool. We're going to have a DVD, though, with a full concert version. So for those of you that were there, you'll see a version that is tripless. And then there's
You'll
also
be in that one, Adam. Don't worry.
But for those of you who enjoyed the Trip experience, there's actually going to be a short film of just Trip. So
Is it going to have dialogue?
With the alternative ending, right?
yeah, there's the
Where he
alternative
hops on
ending
the
where you
horse
find out
with
what's
the
in the
rider.
bag.
They ride off into the sunset, and they become a couple. They become
really beautiful.
friends.
They
It's
hold
possible
hands.
to be friends with anyone. That's the story.
And then they open the bag and they see the price tag and the bill for the film.
Hey guys, how you doing? First off, congratulations on a great film. I think it resonates with everybody in this room. And the young lady that stood up there front there said, what's in the bag? That was the first thing that came to my mind. And listening to her, I think it is. It's an individual thing. I don't know that I really have a question, but just say congratulations. It's, I think it left us all kind of scratching our heads going, yeah, how does this, apply to me? And you individually, I think we see a little bit of all of you in there, and in Trip as well. And having been a fan for 30 plus years, it's kind of cool to see this project all come together. So,
Thanks
salute.
for sticking with us.
Thanks.
Hi guys. So my question is about the ending, not the ending itself with the bag. I'm going past that. I'm talking about the song Orion. I think that was a beautiful way to end the movie, and have it in the ending credits was fantastic. I guess my question is, whose idea was that? And because personally, I think that was a great way to bring in Cliff, just kind of like at the very end. It's like, you see him. I personally saw him throughout the movie because I saw it yesterday in the premiere, and I wanted to see it again today so I could have a second opinion and see what I thought about it, like on a critical standpoint and not just a fan standpoint. So, but I saw like, personally for me, like glimpses of Cliff throughout the movie, in terms of, like in the beginning, well, that's getting way too in depth. So just answer the question instead. Like, whose idea was it? And did you guys discuss that? Nimrod, was that your idea or James?
It was Mark Ryder's idea.
Where are you, Mark?
Mark, stand up or sit down wherever you are.
From Q Prime. You know what? We got to really thank Q Prime for this. They were amazing, and it was quite the journey, and they really embraced it. And actually 4 years ago, they brought it back to our attention, and they made it a reality. And we really got to hand it to them.
Are you in here, Mark?
Yeah, he's right
Yeah,
there.
where are you?
Where?
Mark Ryder, ladies and gentlemen.
He's in the jail outfit.
Right by the
Oh, there he is.
exit
Okay.
door.
There he is.
Yeah, he kept coming back and kept coming. He did not let this thing die. He kept coming back with it, trying to make this thing work. Thank you, Mark.
What I loved was that, after this stage was destroyed, and, physically in the beginning, it's a big stage. I don't have to tell you that. And you guys were all in different parts of it. But then at the end, when you all came together, like just being there, with one another, like back in the garage, that was beautiful.
It is about the music at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Do we have a mic somewhere? Well, how about
Right here. Me?
Which
right
one?
here? Yeah.
Oh, over there. I'm
Nice.
sorry.
His own mic.
The sun was in my eyes.
No worries, no worries. All right, where do I start? There's two things going on in the movie, right? So there's the whole stage going on, the whole epic stage with the statue, with the coils, lightning. You got the crosses, and then you got his story. How hard was it to find the balance, between the two, so then you can keep the people entertained, instead of like having everyone just focus on his story and then totally forget about you guys, which probably will never happen. But yeah.
It was, that was the biggest question, the whole creative journey was, will these two different worlds actually mesh and blend together? That was, so when we saw the first cuts of this thing, I guess coming up on a year ago, we were really surprised and positively surprised, first of all, that it worked. Second of all, how awesome the world, the narrative world was, and how magnetic Trip was as a character, and how just beyond Dane portrayed him. So all the first kind of reports back from the band was more Trip, more narrative, more character, less of the band, and we just kind of kept pushing Nimrod and his editors to try to just put more and more of that in there, because we thought it was so interesting. And offered such a great counterbalance to what we were doing up there. The interesting thing happened is after a couple of months of more Trip, literally they ran out of footage. This is the first movie where every single frame that was shot in that world is actually used. There's not one fucking DVD extra in there anywhere. It's all used. It's actually, Dane was locked away on Spider-Man for a good couple, 6 months in the spring, but we managed to wrestle one day out of them in April, and actually got a couple, 6 more scenes out for more Trip, because those were the marching orders: more Trip, Nimrod, more Trip. So Sony was gracious enough to let us borrow him for 12 hours. And and so we've maxed it out. And we're just so psyched that the two blended so well together, and how they offer this kind of cool counterbalances to each other.
Next question.
I was just wondering, this might be obvious to some people, but of all the songs and all the titles, and I do love the song, but why Through the Never?
It's nice and vague. Through the Never. I mean, it could mean multiple things. And, what would sum up, how do you describe that? How do you describe what you just saw? I don't know. We had a couple of different ideas. I mean, there was a working title, and then we wanted to tie it into us and a song somehow. So that was the one that popped up. And yes, you're right. The song Through the Never is not in the movie. Bonus points for you.
We mined our catalog for the most ambiguous title possible to fit with the most ambiguous movie possible.
Okay, next question.
Hi, thank you so much. The question is going to come from, I'm a musician and a songwriter, and I recently wrote and directed a music video. So it's only 3 minutes. It's very different than producing a 90-minute film. But in that process, I learned that there's what you write, there's what you shoot, and there's what you edit. And it's been very hard to let go of some of the original visions that I've written in the script. And again, it was a script with no dialogue, because it's a music video. But I've had to let go of some of those things. So I wanted to ask you, the director, what was the hardest thing to let go of from what you originally had written? And for the band, how does this compare to making a music video, just a short, one song video?
There was lots of different challenges that I had throughout the film, but editing was certainly the hardest. After we had captured all the concerts, we had a total of 30 cameras to choose from. And anybody who's been in the editing room knows that even like picking between 2 can be daunting. So when you got 30 to deal with, that's quite a task. There was also something that the band had challenged the team with, and that was, what you ended up seeing, and we had no point of reference. Often you can say, remember that really cool thing that Deckard did in Blade Runner? And then you can go, oh yeah, and then you have a sense of, you can start communicating. But with this, it was just so far out there that we really didn't know if we were on the right track or not. Editing lasted way longer than most features, actually anything I've ever worked on. We had an editor who started with us and did a really great job, and at one point we realized we needed some more help, and a wonderful gentleman called Joe Hutching came in and really helped us take it all the way. And you know, to answer your question, though, I think the most difficult part in the editing process was this consistent reminder of I don't want to disappoint them. You know, and no, it's an all kind of moment, but listen, it's true. You know, when you get micromanaged by studios, and this is something the Suits will never understand, at one point you go, well, you know what, man, fuck it, you do it. You know? And with this, I had 4 guys who I not only super admire as artists, but I grew to really, really love as human beings. And I was just like, man, I just don't want them to be bummed out. I don't want them to be sitting somewhere and going, dude, Nimrod fucked up. So that was like, that was the biggest emotional hurdle that I had to get over, you know?
If I can add to that, the great thing about Nimrod is he's really fearless. And Metallica is a band that obviously takes chances. I mean, I think about the time we took on 3 gigs in Paris in the middle of summer, you know, in
one day.
In one day, okay? I mean, it was crazy.
Hottest summer in Paris.
Hottest summer in Paris.
And there was a strike.
And there was a
going on.
strike. So we were in a traffic jam for about 3 hours per gig. And Nimrod has that same vigor, you know. I mean, he's so fearless. And when he came in to meet with us, the spirit was so strong. I mean, he won us over with his heart and his soul and his passion. And just like us, you know, we're always sort of at the edge of our seat. Everything about being in Metallica is like, you know, like Lars says, there's no parachute. I mean, you know, just kind of jump in the water and swim. And Nimrod had that same passion and desire.
We just heard it.
Yeah, we did. You're just as crazy as us, man. We love you.
That's great. And I remember, I think I read somewhere, James, you said that, you know, you hire an artist because of their work and you love it, and why wouldn't you let them do anything else? And I think that's great because you worked for 4 incredible artists who do take chances, and I always picture you guys like coming up to like a chasm or a void and looking at each other and go, let's jump.
Yeah, there was a lot of jumping,
Yeah.
a lot of jumping involved. And I also just want to give a shout out to Mark Ryder and Tony D and Peter and Cliff, all the gentlemen at Q Prime who also took the journey with us, and you know they've been a support. And Charlotte Huggins, of course, our producer.
And also thank, obviously, Bob and Jeannie from Picture House.
Picture House.
And the film is opening in IMAX on the 27th, is it? And on
There's
theaters.
a full week in every IMAX theater in North
Yeah.
America, and then goes a big word I've learned, wide. It goes wide October 4th. Okay?
So I want to thank you guys again for just giving us this gift, and your audience and the fans this incredible gift. And hope to see you and welcome you back at the Rafael again.
And also, Mark,
you.
thank you so much for having us. It's so cool to be sitting up here on the stage.
First in, last out, motherfuckers.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.